5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What?
I didn't say nothing.
Oh, they said something.
Good morning.
Sharon's grounded.
I'm not grounded.
Sharon is feeling sick. She's right there, but she wasn't feeling too good. She had to go to the ER today. Had a scare, and woke up. It was hard for her throat was hurting, right? It was hard for you to breathe. And I had to take her to the ER, and of course, you know, a lot of things that are happening, so it was quite a scare. But she has strep throat, right?
Yeah, tonsillitis.
Tonsillitis.
Throat infection.
Yeah.
My glands were swollen.
Her glands were swollen. It was swollen, so
shut down.
it was hard for her to breathe, so it was a little scary. But then it sucks because every doctor visit, anything, I'm always there with her. But obviously, because of what's going on in the hospitals, you got to go by yourself. So she was there for a few hours. They ran tests, and then I picked her up. But thank God, we have a hospital, a block away? Mm-hmm. Literally 1 block away. If you go around the block, it's the back of the hospital. So she was close by. And so she's been resting, and I made her some chicken noodle soup. So she woke up a little while ago. Were you sleeping on and off all this time or what? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Antibiotics.
Yeah, they gave her antibiotics.
Gave me some through IV there too.
And they gave her some through IV. So, you know, it's been an interesting day. I did a lot of painting. And I don't know why I didn't think about it, that right before Christmas, it starts to pick up as far as people wanting personal paintings. Because you guys know, all these months I've been doing a lot of just my different art that I've been doing. But then every time during Christmas, ever since prison too, it was really busy because people want portraits, people want portraits of their pets as gifts. People think of different gifts that they want to do. So I basically got my next three weeks or so probably just booked up. So I mean, that's good. You know, thank God that the Lord continues to bring, you know, jobs for me to do, you know, and I'm really thankful for it. So I was working on one today, and I will be over the next few weeks, and hopefully more will keep coming in. So anyways, Sharon was asking me what am I going to talk about, and I said, I don't know, just stuff.
And I just want to be here and just listen.
So she's just laying there all cozy, and you know, it's more of what I was going to talk about today is more of a something I noticed and I thought about. I don't know if I have a scripture for it.
Do you feel weird being there without me?
Yeah, a little bit, but you're right there, so it's not as bad.
Okay.
It was more of something I noticed, and I was just. This is funny, right? Because when there's things that I'm a thinker, right? I really think about stuff, and even when sometimes people hit me with a question, I will not give them an answer. Sometimes the answer comes a week later after I thought about it, because I don't like to just say stuff. Oops! I just caused an earthquake. I don't like to just say stuff.
You don't need me for it.
Yeah. And so, and it's funny because sometimes, like, I what do you call it? Like, add a footnote. I add a footnote sometimes when I'm talking to Sharon or other people. I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell you what I think, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't really verbalized it in my head. So how it comes out, it comes out. So this is one of those things that I just thought about today. I don't know how it's gonna come out, but it was something I noticed. Because I was watching this video, and it was talking about how, let me see, like I said, I didn't think about how I was going to do this, but a couple weeks ago, the CDC released this thing that out of the 161,000 deaths from COVID, the CDC did something without, and nobody said nothing about it. It's basically, out of 161,000 people that have died with COVID in the United States, only 9,000 had actually died directly from COVID alone. That's a big deal. That means 152,000 people that were labeled COVID had other issues with it. Only 9,000. So I started really thinking about this. So I started looking up how many people a day die. It's way over that. Just a day. And this is COVID since what, February or whatever? And then I started looking at how many people die crossing the street. How many people die from smoking cigarettes? How many people die from gunshots? How many people die from diabetes? Like, I just started looking up all these crazy numbers. And it was insane numbers that really 9,000 people died directly from COVID. Made it very insignificant. Now, I hate to say that because these are 9,000 lives, but I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. That's a big jump from 161,000. Anyways, that's not even what I was going to talk about. I'm just kind of setting the stage for what I was thinking about. Because then I was like, so why the lockdowns this bad? Especially here in California, guys. Because it just feels weird because, like, for instance, electricity in certain cities are going out. Houses are getting shut off. You know, like, what do they call them? Rolling
shut off.
Yeah, rolling shut off. And I had this thought. I'm like, you know, stores are shut down. Restaurants are shut down. Gyms are shut down. Barbershops, beauty salons, movie theaters, all of that stuff is shut down. That's a whole lot of electricity that isn't being used. We're told to stay in our homes unless you really have to be out and about or at work or whatnot. But there's a lot of businesses, it's companies that are just completely shut down. And it was just weird thought that I'm like, and so why are we still having loss of electricity if all these businesses are closed? You know, and then I started thinking about how some people jump to conclusions and say, well, you know, the government is trying to control us and all this and that. And I'm like, well, you know, the thing is this, right? Because COVID has hit home for us too. So we know it's a real thing, but when you start to look at the real numbers, it just makes you wonder about some stuff. And anyways, all of that is just foundation for what I'm going to say. So this thought came into my mind, and I thought I would explain it to you guys, and maybe you guys see what I see. In federal prison, there's a thing called controlled movement. Okay, a controlled movement is basically a prison, especially an open prison, like a level 1, level 2, where it's not like really high where everybody's locked down. A regular level 1, level 2, where there's still a yard, there's a weight pile, there's an exercise thing, there's a handball court, basketball court, there's a library, there's a chapel, there's a classes you can go to, jobs you go to, different things like that. So in other words, it's its own little ecosystem or society within the prison that it's almost like a little city, and everything you need, whether it's a store, there's literally a barbershop. Like you would go and make a reservation at the barbershop, just like here, you know, and you go to the library and all this stuff. So maybe in the higher levels, it's more like the movies you see where people are just sitting in cells. But I'm talking about the lower levels, it's like a little society. Everybody has a job they go to. You have assignments. You have school. People going to GED. People doing college courses. People living life. There's laundromats. At least where I was at, there was like 2 different laundromats in the south yard and in a north yard. So it's like people are doing their everyday life. And over years, you start to feel like that's just life. Okay. So they have this thing called controlled movements. And what that is basically, let's say at the top of every hour, you have a 5-minute movement. In other words, you can go to the chapel, but it's controlled movement. So once you're in the chapel and movement's over, you have to stay in the chapel till the next hour, until the next movement. So if I have to go talk to the chaplain really quick, and if movement's over, now I'm stuck in the chapel until next movement. So it's a little hard. Sometimes it takes a whole day mission to do the things you need to do because of these controlled movements. So I got to go to the chapel and talk to the chaplain at 10 in the morning. But now I'm stuck there till 11. And then I have to go to a class. So at 11 o'clock, I make my way to the classrooms. And now I'm stuck in the classroom. Let's say I got to type something up. So now it's another movement. And then I need to go work out at 12. So I got to wait from 11 to 12 for that movement. So it's complete controlled movement. And it's like it's a way for them to, for the prison system to have control of who is where at what time. You know, so that way it's not chaos. That way it's not. And you're basically told that this is for your safety. That the controlled movement is for your safety. So it prevents stabbings and gang fights and riots and these things and, you know, and all these things. And especially if you're a first timer, you watch movies and you see horrible things being done to people. Men do things to each other. And so you got all this in your head and they're like, yeah, this controlled movement is to keep you safe. So it's just weird because after a while, it just becomes normal. It's normal. It feels like normalcy to have to go do a 2-minute errand, but that 2-minute errand is going to cost me a whole hour because
you find things to do within that time.
So wherever I go, now I'm stuck there, and that became a normal way of life. That's how the prison works. Why am I saying this? Because it dawned on me today that, I don't know about all United States, but at least California, it feels like a giant prison yard right now. And it feels like controlled movement. You're told when you can have church and when you can't have church. When you can get your hair done, when you can not get your hair done. When you can go here, go there, and all this stuff. And it started, I realized, I'm like, I felt like this before. And it dawned on me, this reminds me of Terminal Island.
Even go to the store, you have to wait in line and
yes.
so much amount of time to be.
Yeah. Actually, you know, Sharon brought something up, and that's what, because I drive through town and I see lines at the bank. If there's too many people in Walmart, I see lines for people waiting in Walmart, and it's just like it brought it all back. I'm just like, this is crazy. And at the same way in prison, you're told this is for your safety. This is for your, you know. And out here, we're being told the same thing. You're being locked down for your safety. There's COVID out there. You know, and it was like in prison, there's people getting stabbed out there. Men are getting raped and this and that. So controlled movement is the best thing for you. And maybe it's a different out here. There's COVID out there and there's this out there. And it could be chaos and we got to have this control. And it just made me realize that, especially me, I don't have a passport. And in other words, I am literally walking a giant prison yard. Because I can't really leave if I want to. You know, and even within our city, things are limited. And I think some people jump to conclusions and say about the control thing. But I heard, actually Joe Rogan, which was funny, just confirmed what I was already thinking. Just literally right now when I went to get your medicine, I just put YouTube on and just let it play. And you know how it suggested videos, and it had a Joe Rogan thing, and he was complaining about that Nancy Pelosi thing and that hair thing, whatever. I don't want to even talk about that, but you know, he brought up an important point about it, you know, and he just like he goes, this thing that's happening was like, at first the COVID scare was real. At first we didn't know, nothing was going on. At first we had no idea what was going to happen. But then the CDC changed the numbers, and now those numbers are significantly lower. He goes, why are we still on lockdown? You know, and he goes, you know, this is what, he goes, what scares me about this is that now that we've given up our freedom so quick and so easy, what happens with the next flu? What happens with the next thing? Is this a normal way of life now that the government knows that the people would just obey? You know, and again, I don't like jumping to conclusions, but I've even said in the Bible studies, I'm like, you know, this whole thing about what's the thing called for the
microchip, the vaccination.
Yeah, the vaccinations and all that. I'm like, I don't believe that that has anything to do with Antichrist or anything. But what I do believe is that and technology and GPS and things, those are just the tools that are getting set up for that. I'm not saying those things are being used for that, but it's going in that direction. You know, like this whole thing about, I thought it was interesting because I remember a few months ago, people were tripping out saying, oh, your phone, don't accept that COVID tracker thing, this and that. And people are saying don't accept it. And I bet you a bunch of you didn't even realize that your phone updated with it. It was automatically there. Yeah. Whether you accepted it or not. It's not even an app. It was just automatically on your phone. I didn't believe it. I looked at my phone. Sure enough, it was there. And it's interesting because like Google knows where you're at all times. Because at the end of every year, I always get this email showing me on a map every place I had been in that whole year. And it highlights the places I go to most. The Starbucks I go to the most, the Walmart I go to the most, or this or that, whatever, the cities we go to the most. And I thought that was very interesting. So when people were saying, I'm not going to accept that app, or I'm not going to, dude, they already got you. Yeah. It's already controlled movement. You just don't know it yet. At least in the prison, we were told, you guys are criminals, so therefore you have controlled movement. You can go here, you can go there. That way we can keep account of everywhere you're at. That's one thing in prison, at least it's straight up. But right now, you and I, whether you admit it or not, or whatever, we are uncontrolled movement right now. And that's what it comes down to. And it's just like the enemy setting up the chess pieces. It ain't the game yet. The game hasn't started yet. But the board is being set up. You know, and I guess I was thinking about that because, I mean, we're studying Revelation in the Bible studies on Wednesdays. And it popped in my head about the controlled movement. And then the Joe Rogan video kind of put the cherry on top of kind of some of the stuff he was saying about just California. And I don't know. You know, like I said, I just wanted to talk about stuff. I had no idea what I was going to say or how I was going to say it. I knew what was in my heart and in my mind. I'm like, hopefully this doesn't come out all jumbled up.
It makes so much sense because when I went to the hospital today, they charge you for a COVID test there. Yeah. And what they end up doing is redirecting you to the free one, to the one that I told you. Mm-hmm. And that free one is the one that actually you have to put all that information in. You have to do all that where they're able to track you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the only way that you can get it done.
You know, there's stuff, I was watching this other thing and it was saying that this woman was basically Facebook. They know more about you than probably you know about you because everything's computer. So the computer finds, what's that word I always forget?
Algorithm.
Computer, you're just an algorithm and it figures out, we operate in patterns more than we realize. Mm-hmm. We're more predictable than we realize. And Facebook figured out the algorithm. You know, like for instance, every time you take a picture or post it or check in, it knows where you're at. It's not like somebody's there, but the algorithm knows you're at. Algorithm knows, like for instance, there's probably patterns. You probably go to if you go travel somewhere, you probably go to the same hotel. Whether it's Holiday Inn or Motel 6 or Best Western, it just becomes a pattern. You know, what you buy. It knows what kind of drink you like. You know why? Because you post the food and the drinks and your Starbucks drinks or your whatever. Knows the kind of things you like by the pictures you take. And then here's where it got creepier. It starts to know patterns so much that by the things you start to look at. So like there was a case with this woman who didn't know she was pregnant yet. Didn't know she was pregnant yet. But because her patterns changed in what she posted and how she posted and the things she ate, the algorithm fit a profile of a woman that was pregnant. So it starts advertising to her baby stuff. And all of a sudden she finds out a month or two later that she's pregnant. And she's like, that's weird. How did Facebook know to start advertising me baby stuff? That's crazy. Facebook, even, I remember there was another instance where the algorithm has figured out if, this is kind of weird, man, okay? It's figured out if people are secretly attracted to the same sex by the photos they click. So all of a sudden, dudes are clicking on other dudes and it picks up an algorithm and all of a sudden they know somebody's an undercover homosexual. So there's just all kinds of stuff. So everything you click, everything you post, every single thing, they know more about you than what you know. That's just two I mentioned, Facebook and Google. Guys, it's controlled movement. It's controlled movement, you know, and I don't do this video. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just talking. This is what goes on in this little brain of mine, you know, and yeah, and it just reminds me, you know, it reminds me of Terminal Island. You know, they do these profile tests even in prison. And it's weird because they try to figure out what kind of criminal you are. It's called the PSA report. At least in the federal prison, they do this before you go to prison. You go to talk to your probation officer and this and that. And they make up this report called the PSA report. And with that, they try to figure out your life and everything. They even talk to some of your family members. They look at your life. They look at your past life. They look how you lived and this and that. And they have this report. I probably have mine. Remember me and Abraham found my files? It's probably in there. And they write a summary. And this was on paper back then. Imagine now. Because I'm talking about something back, my arrest was in 2004, so that's 16 years ago. So how much has technology changed in 16 years? Because Facebook didn't even exist 16 years ago. Yeah. You know, so we're in controlled movement, you know, and, you know, like I said, I have my Bible here. I don't know.
It's crazy because if you think about back in Egypt.
Back in Egypt?
You know, the Israelites were in controlled movement.
Yeah, they were. They were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where it all began.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good example. So... Mm-hmm.
And that's what, you know, God wanted to break them free from all of that.
You know, I don't even know.
But here's the thing. But the thing is that people become so accustomed to it that when they were brought out of that they were so used to that they just wanted to go back to that.
Yeah.
And I think that people become so accustomed to even things like this that people get so used to things that they just want to become part of that. Because it becomes part of them.
They just get used to it.
Because they become so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, in prison, they became accustomed to
it. Yeah.
Because people don't, when they have change and they're just not used to change, so they become accustomed to something.
You know, guys, unless you've read my book, actually, I haven't even talked about it. If you guys are any new listeners, I did write my book of my story, and it's on Amazon. It's as an ebook and a paperback called Lost in the Storm. And I was reminded of it because of yesterday, of Nino. He's a Facebook friend of mine from Texas. He read chapter 1 and 2 on he has a lot of following. Anyways, in my story, I was in solitary confinement for a year. And finally, I got sentenced, and I was waiting for the marshals to pick me up. And my cell was probably the size of an average bathroom. I want you to imagine being in a room like that, locked for a year. Your whole life is in there, other than court and visits. Your whole life is in there. And you would think one would want to get out, which I did. But I went through a lot in those months that by the time they told me that the marshals were going to come get me, they're like, "Hey, Rocha," because they have speakers. I'm like, "Yeah." It was real early in the morning. They're like, "Hey, marshals will come and get you. Get your stuff ready." I got really scared. And I didn't want to leave my cell. And it was weird. I guess it was a weird feeling, because you would think you would wait for the day for that door to open. Yeah. And I didn't want to leave, guys, because that became my whole world. That became my whole everything. That little room became my comfort, became my blanket. And when that door popped open, I was scared. I didn't want to leave. And I think that has happened to a lot of people now. I think that's why a lot of people are fine with being at home, with wearing the mask, with not having to go anywhere. And I just want you to know that I get it. I get exactly what you feel like. But life that's not normal. That's not normal life.
You know? This morning when everything happened so quickly, and I was up at 4 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started to feel really, really, really sick all of a sudden, and I felt my airway just closing so quickly, and you saw that I was having a hard time breathing, and it was scary. But it was that moment. It was just a quick moment that when I started crying, and I got scared for a moment, because we get so used to this world. But yet then, when we're in this world, we say, "Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready." We're so confident in, "Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready." Yeah. But when you get to that moment and you're just like, you can't take a grasp of air anymore, and you're just thinking, "My God, what's happening?"
Yeah.
You don't want to leave that comfort. You don't want to leave, and you're really, it's like, it's a hard moment to bear.
Yeah.
Because we say one thing, but yet then we're contrasted with the other, And I think that was a glimpse of that this morning for me.
We get used to stuff.
Yeah, we do.
While she was saying that, I was trying to look up something. And I don't want to give wrong information here. So give me 1 second here, because I don't want to say something wrong. I'm not gonna, that might be wrong. Hold on, let me look at this here. Okay. Just bear with me, guys. I want to find something real interesting here. I want to share with you. Okay, probably this.
Have you noticed every time we do our devotional, the cat comes and listens?
I know. I think she's going to get saved.
Yeah, the cat loves to listen to the devotionals.
You know what? Well, okay. This isn't exactly what I was looking for, but I wanted to give you a little idea. Just COVID, 9,000 people in the last, 6 months?
Yeah.
9,000 people. The other 152,000 had COVID, but like, for instance, one guy got in a motorcycle accident, but he had COVID. And he wasn't labeled as an accident. He was labeled as a COVID death. But he wrecked on his motorcycle. So this is like some of these numbers, right? So anyways, in 2017, in 1 year, 21,000 children under the age of 1 died. Okay, that's a whole year. Only one was newborn to 1.
Yeah, SIDS and all of that.
SIDS and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing, 2017, 22,000 of them. This is not even just all deaths. This is just newborns. Just newborns alone doubled the COVID deaths of the last few months. I was hoping to find other ones. Hold on. Okay. Oh, here it is. I just want to make sure this is per year. Yeah. 2017. Check this out. Look at this, babe. 2017. You know how many people died of heart disease? 647,000. That's how many. So what does that mean? That means your chances are a whole lot higher of dying of heart disease. You know how many died of cancer? 599,000. This is just 2017. In accidents, 169,000 people died. So the chances of you dying by cancer, heart disease, or accidents are way higher than COVID. Stroke, 146,000 people. Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's, 121,000. Diabetes, 83,000. The flu, regular flu pneumonia, 55,000. Suicide, 47,000.
Cancer alone is 599.
Oh, you found the same one I'm reading? So, the chances are 5 times more chances you're going to die of your own hand than COVID.
Yeah.
So, guys, is it a real thing? Yes, it is. But if we're gonna burrow ourselves in a cave for something that the percentage that's small, then you better worry about car accidents and cancer and diabetes. You know?
Hi, guys.
You have, I can't even do the math for heart disease, 647,000. So a lot of us got a lot more cushiony during this lockdown. That's heart disease. So more people are going to die from gaining weight than COVID.
You know,
it's you know, ironic that you're talking about this topic, you know, because you know, just today there was a little girl that my daughter has been best friends with since she was in first grade. Would always be in my home throughout her early preteen years. She would spend weeks and weeks in my home till her older teen years, and I always looked at her like a daughter to me. Even up to the date that I moved out here, and they're still very close, you know, still to this day. And my daughter called me today, and she says, "Mom, you know, her mom died." And I was kind of distraught because her mom's my age. We're the same age. And I know that she was a single mom. We were both single moms, you know, for a very long time. And we would help each other out with our daughters because they were the only girls that we had. So we'd always, you know, help each other. When the mom would work late, I'd take her and I'd have her with me all the time and everything. But it was self-inflicted, guys. It was suicide. You know, I talked about my boss's brother the other day. It was a gunshot to the head. You know, people are not dying directly from COVID, but the effect that COVID is causing. The stress, the mental duress, the mental that it's causing people, the anxiety, the depression. There's so much that it's causing people to go through during these times. And that's something that we need to think about too.
Yeah.
You know, people are losing hope. And the one thing that gives hope is the one thing that the enemy is trying to destroy in this country and in this world, which is the Word of God, which is Jesus, which is churches, which is the people that are carrying the message of hope. And you know, I said that today in the hospital to somebody when my daughter had given me that news, because I was just like, man, I was so grateful for the nurse, and she was, you know, she was a believer, and we were talking about bringing the message of hope and why it was so important. And she's like, I'm so grateful that you guys continue to give that message. And I told her, I'm so grateful that you continue to be here to be able to provide for people that need you, you know. So guys, I'm glad that you're talking about this, you know, because it's important. It's important.
I just did this math. It's crazy because everybody is afraid of COVID, yet there's 71% more chance of you dying of cancer, heart disease.
Yeah.
70% more chances of you dying of cancer. I'm just doing some quick math here. You know, so if we're that worried about COVID, then you better be 71 times more worried about what you're eating and your health. But yet, we're walking around with a mask, but we're not caring about how we're caring for our bodies, yet that's the one thing that can higher chance of you dying from. Yeah. And when you start to look at it like that, it's kind of like, that's crazy. You know, even like accidents, chronic respiratory disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes. Guys, you know, these are things to think about, that we got to really think about and make sure that we got to be careful, yes, because like I said, it is a real thing. You know, my daughter's a nurse. Yeah. You know, so this is a real thing, and so is cancer, and so is diabetes, and so is Alzheimer's, and so are all these other lists. But somehow, even though those are higher chance that that's what's going to kill us, why do we put this one way at the top?
Yeah.
We got to really think about it. And here's another thing. Why do I say that? Because who benefits? I had somebody tell me, anytime you hear something, whether it's a biblical teaching, whether it's this or that, you always got to think, who benefits from this? And I think that's something we should ponder on.
Absolutely.
Is who's benefiting? You know, so, all right, guys, like I said, I just wanted to talk with you guys. I didn't know Sharon was going to come into the picture. She was laying there comfortably, and I'm sure you're not feeling that great. But it's nice to have you next to me, you know. And but just wanted to talk to you. Just be straight up and talk about some stuff that we probably don't directly talk about. And just wanted to talk and share. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. God bless you.
Love you.
We've missed you guys. Obviously, you know, we didn't have a video yesterday because we got home late from Bible study.
And I wasn't feeling good already, guys. I literally laid down, and
as soon as we walked in, you went straight to the bed.
I just was already kind of feeling a little.
Yeah.
I had a headache at the church, and and I was not feeling good at all, and it just hit me out of nowhere, guys. It really did. It was very unexpected. Very unexpected. You know, I literally, what time is it now? It's midnight right now. And I just woke up just a little while ago. I got home from the hospital a little bit after 6 o'clock this evening, or what?
And you went to sleep.
And I ate.
Yeah.
I just barely ate really late right now because I'm really hungry. And, you know, I'm just trying not to talk as much. But, yeah, guys, thank you. We love you guys, and just, you know, I'm going to stay home tomorrow, you know, work from home a little bit, and that's about it. We love you guys. Have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye.